Hey. Okay, hello everyone. 2 days before Christmas. Oh my goodness. Those of you who celebrate, are you ready? This year just seemed to come so fast. So today we're doing a little something different. Normally I have a whole topic I'm teaching on Saturdays, but today I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to ask me some questions because you guys do ask a lot of questions, and I want to get you set up for the new year and have you have the tools and be equipped and break through any of the excuses you might have or limiting beliefs or things you think are stopping you from reaching your goals. So today is the day where you can ask me questions related to your goals, your purpose, your dreams, your hangups, your excuses, and hopefully I will have some answers and I'll be able to shed some light on, some of the stuff that you're going through. So I am on YouTube and my private Facebook group, Purpose Driven Christians. I also have my phone going on Instagram, and I'm going live right now also on LinkedIn. But there's only two places I will be answering questions today. So if you have a question you want me to answer, I'm answering those on the private Facebook group, and I'm also answering those on YouTube. So tell me what questions you have. Okay, it's just that the messages go so fast on Instagram, I really can't keep up. So they just go and then they're gone. So, all right. So I'm going to start looking at your questions now. Let's see. I'm getting a lot of like hellos and Merry Christmases here.
Hey, Mom.
What's up, Timmy?
Can we stream it?
No, right now I'm in the middle of a live stream.
No.
Timothy?
Please.
I'm in the middle of a live stream on 4 platforms right now, so please don't come in here and ask me for stuff.
It's only $5, I promise.
I know, sweetie. And I'll give it to you in an hour when I'm off my live stream. Do you want to say hi?
Hi, guys.
Yeah. Not right now. You have to learn patience.
Mom.
You have to learn patience. Okay.
I'll be in the live stream for at least about a minute.
No. Just
Trust me.
honey.
Trust me.
Okay, you know
Give
what?
me my stream.
Excuse me. You can bring the computer right here, and I'll put in my password, okay? All right. So there's always a workaround. There's always a solution. So troubleshooting. He wanted me to get up and go give him, he gets $5 a week allowance every week. And he wanted me to get up, go in his room, give him like the little $5 online so he can get whatever video game. That's how he likes to spend his allowance. So he was going to stand here and pester me until I did it. So solution, I said, you bring your computer here. I'll just type in the password. So, okay, let's look at your questions. Were you guys on here last week when I interviewed Allison? Was that amazing? Did you learn a lot from that? I would encourage you to go back and watch that live stream if you missed it, because I think it answered a lot of people's questions. Okay, so hold on one moment.
My patience is waning.
Oh, now you're going to be singing for us. So I do see a few questions coming in, so let me answer those in a sec. Oh, we have to do a code. Try another way. And yeah. Okay, so Blake is saying, I want to create an acting reel, but I don't have any footage. Do you have any tips? There's a lot of different services out there where they create acting reels for you. There's a lot of, I don't know if you're in California, but I know there's a lot here where there's services where people will create an acting reel for you. You go, they'll give you the scripts. They have the whole studio. They have the camera, the lights. Shut the door when you leave, okay? They have it all set up, and you can just pay to get a reel created for you. So that's an option. You could also get together with your friends and have some great content. Make sure it's your own content. Don't try to do it from a famous movie or play or something that people would know. So if you need a demo reel, then I would create one yourself or pay one of these studios to have one made for you. That's another option. Let's see, what else are you guys asking? And you can always do student films. That's how a lot of people started out getting footage. They would do student films and they would do free productions. Sometimes it would be copy credit meal. You would do free productions just so you could have some footage on yourself. I did that early on. Unfortunately, when I was doing that like 20 years ago, it wasn't things weren't digital. The camera, like, there wasn't all this online stuff where someone could just send you a link to your footage. So I ended up doing probably at least 50 projects and I never even got the footage from it. I'm not saying that to discourage you, but sometimes that's a reality. I'm letting you know that so you don't put all of your eggs in one basket and say, oh, I did these 3 projects, so now I'm going to have 3 scenes. I'll be able to cut together a demo reel. Sometimes they won't give you your footage. So that's just another solution for doing that. Okay. Nicola is asking, sometimes I think I overthink and I dwell on mistakes and problems when it's already solved. How can I stop dwelling on things that happened as I feel I cling a lot to the past? Well, there could be so many reasons that you're doing that, but it's never good to beat yourself up. And I know some of us sometimes struggle with our thought life. I mean, I guess most of us struggle with our thought life. And sometimes it helps to ask yourself some questions like, why am I doing this? And for those of you who are on Instagram right now, this is a live Q&A, and I'm going to be answering questions. If you want a question answered, hop over to my YouTube channel. Just type Katherine Norland in on YouTube and you'll find it. Because the Instagram messages are going so fast. But if you just want to watch and listen, Instagram is fine. But if you actually have a question you want me to answer, hop over to my YouTube channel and ask me there. So when you're dwelling on problems, sometimes it helps to ask yourself, why am I dwelling on problems? I've talked before about like the 7 layers. Sometimes you have to ask yourself layers and layers deeper of questions. So if you start out with a question like, why do I dwell so much on my past? And then you answer that. And maybe your answer is because I want to get it right next time. Okay. Why is it? Then you ask the next question. Why is it so important for me to get it right? Well, I want to get it right because other people might judge me. Okay. That's the second layer. Now, each time you ask yourself a deeper question, you go 7 layers deep. It's going to get to the root cause. It's going to get to the heart of the matter. And so the second one was like, oh, I'm afraid people will judge me. Ask yourself again, well, why do you care if people will judge me? Why do you care if people judge me or judge you in this case? And then you answer that question. I don't know, maybe your answer is, well, I will feel bad about myself, or I worry that people won't like me. Then ask yourself, what's the next layer deep of a question that you could go from there? Well, what if they don't like you? What's going to happen? Well, then I won't have any friends and I'll be destined to go through life alone. Ask yourself another question. Is that true? Is that true that you can't make any mistakes? Is that really true that people won't like you if you do something wrong? Do other people not make mistakes? Sometimes you have to do some self-coaching. If you don't have a coach or a mentor that can help you through these problems, sometimes you just have to ask yourself a series of questions and peel back the layers, because sometimes, like when I'm working with my coaching clients and they have these goals and dreams, they'll have like an excuse that comes up automatically. But a lot of times, like honestly, like 90% of the time, the first excuse that comes up isn't the real one. It's a cover up for what something is going on deeper below the surface. And that first excuse, like, I don't have anyone to help me, or I don't have any money, or whatever it is, why they're not working on their goals, that comes up because they're fearful and they're trying to protect ourselves. Listen, we as humans, our first mode is to protect ourselves. It's our survival instincts. So if we fear failure, If deep down we're feeling failure, we may make some excuse about, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the help, I don't know, whatever. And, there's a famous quote that says, it's not about the lack of resources, it's about the lack of resourcefulness. Because there's many people who've been in your place with lack of time, lack of money, lack of resources, and they've made it happen because their mind was set in the right place. It was set towards finding the solution and not finding excuses for their problems. And if you've been in that place, like I have in the past, I'm not saying that's bad, where it's just where you're at right now. But when you recognize that you and your excuses are standing in the way of you achieving your dreams and goals, you got to do something about it. Like Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. We used that quote a lot last week, but that's true. So let's go on. Someone's saying Merry Christmas, Timmy. Okay, so let's look at the next question. This question is from John. I'm at the age where my career should be taking off, but it's a very slow process and I feel stuck. What should I do? So many answers to this. So many things. First of all, you're not going to like this, but we got to stop saying should. We got to stop saying my career should. Based on what? Based on who? Why should it be taking off? Have you done everything within your power to make that career happen? Because if you have done everything within your power, all the things you've known to do, you've read up on it, you've researched, you've consulted mentors, you've had people come into your life, they've spoken, they've told you what to do. Sometimes it's a process, and the process is working on you. I love what Myron Golden says. He says, all work works. Sometimes we think it's not working, but all work works. It's either working for you or it's working on you. So when you're in these times that you feel are slow, I think we've all felt that. I know I have felt that way, where I felt stuck and nothing is happening. And those are the times I have to go into myself again, asking yourself the questions. Maybe you also need to go 7 layers deep. Why do I feel like my career should be in a different spot? Why am I not content and happy where I am now? Am I further than? Sometimes it helps to think, where were you 3 years ago? Where were you 5 years ago? Have you made progress? Are you happy with your progress? Are you better off now than where you used to be? What is it for you that's going to get you over the top? Ask yourself, why do you think you should? And sometimes it has a lot to do with we are comparing ourselves to others. I remember one time I was in an acting class, and there was this girl. She had just moved here from another country just a couple years ago. And I had been in LA trying to do my acting career for like 15 years. And she had just moved here a couple years ago, and she got on this cool TV show, and she booked 5 days of work. And I was like so happy for her in the moment. But then on the drive home, the shoulds started trying to attack me. Well, you've been here 15 years. You should have been able to book 5 days on a major TV series by now. You've done, and all the little nagging voices, the little foxes that come to spoil the vine, as scripture says. So a lot of times the shoulds come into play because we are comparing ourselves to somebody else's journey. But their journey is not our journey. There's things that God wants us to learn along the way. And I have to tell you, if you were ready for your future, you'd be there. Ouch, right? I know. There's places I want to be, and I'm like, God, I have been working at this for 20 years. What the heck? Why am I not at this level? But there's also stuff within me I need to fix, and I need to change, and I need to learn. Maybe you need to learn perseverance. Maybe you need to learn patience. Maybe you need to learn courage. Maybe you need to learn organization, skill management. Organization in my case, like I constantly have piles of paper and things I need to find and do. And like when someone calls me for something and they're like, oh, can you get us this? I'm like, it may take a few hours. I don't know where it is, in which pile that paper is. I don't know where in my hard drive. Things are not labeled properly. So for me, I know, okay, I got to get my ducks in order. I have to get my house up here, as well as my desk, my files on. I have to get it in order for me to move faster. God likes things done decently and in order. So figure out, ask questions. What is it for me? Just start praying and journaling. God, what is stopping me from this next level? I feel like I would be further along by now, or should be further along by now, but clearly I'm not moving. For what reason? See, God isn't going to thrust us into a future we're not ready for, because He doesn't want to see us crash and burn. He doesn't want to see us fail. So when things aren't moving, it's time to get prayerful. Maybe you need to get off social media for a few days. Maybe you need to fast. Maybe you need to just have a day where you just are in the Word and you're praying and you're journaling and you're not eating. And every time your stomach growls, you use that time to pray. Okay, you want to, get clarity, and sometimes pushing away the distractions, pushing away the food, pushing away the electronics, doing things to get clear and to avoid distractions. Maybe you need to go out in nature and go for a walk and say, okay, God, this is where I feel stuck. How can I get unstuck? God's willing to answer you. And it's going to be this feeling, this feeling in your knower, in the pit of your stomach. You're going to feel a certain way, and trust that when it comes, when you feel like, oh, this is what I need to do. Trust that, because what happens next is other voices will pop in and say, no, you don't really need to do that. God didn't really tell you that. You've got people in your life that maybe don't push you in the right direction, or they always try to talk you out of the things you want to do. Maybe it's your own voice, the voice of, you have limiting beliefs. You failed in the past. So you've got this thing going on in you that wants to protect you from the next failure. So it's saying, oh, you better be careful. You better not do that. What if this happens? What if this? The what ifs come in, and you have to realize that's just the enemy trying to throw you off track. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. I know I could go so deeper on all of these things, but I want to get to as many questions as possible. As you guys know, I am an encouragement coach, and I specialize in helping believers who know they were meant for something more to be able to see themselves the way God does, so that they stop sabotaging their dreams and building someone else's. And I help you step into your calling and live your purpose with confidence. If that sounds like something you need, you can reach out to me. We'll see if we're a fit for coaching, if you need that extra level of help and support, or even accountability. Okay. All right. Derek, oh my gosh, thank you so much for the super sticker, for the gift. He's asking, are you having a party at your house on Christmas? I am having a couple of friends over. Who do not have relatives or family, and they have nowhere to go. So I am going to do that to help people not be all alone on that day. Okay. VS is asking, when students are in high school, they think it's a big deal and it affects the rest of their life. That's true. I used to feel that way. Oh, everything was such a big deal in high school, and everything was the end of the world. And oh my gosh, the anxiety and the panic attacks and the freaking out and the worrying. He said a few years after graduating, they realize it's not a big deal. It's just a step. Why is that? Well, I think the thing is part of it is, okay, there's like a frontal lobe. There's a front part of their brain that has to do with like rationalizing and different functions, but it doesn't get fully formed until people are 25, and it helps with decision makings and doing the right thing. That's why kids can be so impulsive and just act out and do stuff. They don't There's parts of their brain that aren't developed yet. So that's part of it for sure. And also another thing could be they don't have enough life experience. They haven't been through enough things that when something comes up, it feels like the end of the world because as a kid, they've been so sheltered or taken care of by their parents. Their parents like solved their problems for them. And now they're gaining some sort of, I think autonomy is the right word. They're like becoming their own person. They're having to figure things out on their own. They maybe don't feel comfortable going to their parents anymore to find solutions, so that could be some of the reasons. Anandit says, I found a lot of toxic people this year. As you know, I told you about my problem. Currently, I'm doing research work and some reading to cope, but sometimes rude comments hurt me. Yeah, I've dealt with that in the past. It used to be a big problem for me. And one of the ways you can get over dealing with rude comments is to ask yourself, especially when it comes to trolls and strangers online and people you don't even know, is to say, like, who are they? And why would I even care about their comments? I don't even know who. Most of the time, these trolls aren't even using their real name. They've got a fake identity, a fake picture. They're just like, they don't even have the courage to insult you themselves. They have to create some kind of secret character to insult you. So that is not even worth your concern or looking at. It's like, who cares what these strangers say? Okay, sometimes we're going to get insults and mean comments by people that maybe are acquaintances. But you know what? If they're an acquaintance, they don't really know you. They may know something about you. You may have met them a couple times or worked with them. They're judging kind of some outward thing, something that like they don't know you on a deep level. So it's easy for them to assume, it's easy for them to point fingers. They don't know your heart and they don't know your intention behind some things. So you can see somebody do something and just assume. Like I had something come up recently where somebody in my life that I was working with, I felt like they were completely ignoring me. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I'm just mentioning this because we can assume certain things. So I was like, she doesn't want to help me with this project anymore. She's not interested. I got into it and spent all this money. She got her commission, whatever. And now she's like, bounce. And after a long conversation with them, this person last night, I realized that wasn't the case at all. That was my perception because of whatever, we always make assessments based on stuff that's happened to us in the past. So because things like that have happened to me in the past, I just assume, well, I guess she's just another one of those people. But after talking to her last night, I realized she was going through some heavy stuff. She was going through some heavy, heavy attacks and drama and medical stuff. And, I didn't know about it. And she was in such a frazzled place because of what happened. She didn't have the guts, the courage, the wherewithal. Maybe she had her own set of fears of judgment or whatever it was. So we don't always know. Sometimes we make these quick assessments and judgments and we don't always know. And lastly, if it's people in your life who know you and love you and they're making the rude comments, a couple different ways you could go about this. Sometimes they want to protect you. People in our life who love us and care about us, they see us stepping out on a limb, tree branch. They see us stepping out on a skinny tree branch. We're going to go jump into this thing we've never done. They're going to be like, don't do that. That's going to be scary. You might fall. Get down from there. You don't know what you're doing. And it's not that they're wanting to hurt you or not see you succeed. It's just they don't want to see you fall. They don't want to see you get hurt. They don't want to see you break your leg or whatever it is. So sometimes it's out of love. And so also when you get some kind of feedback or criticism, just ask yourself, is this person's feedback actually important to me? Do I really care about them? And do they really care about me? Are they telling me I can't do it because they can't do it? They have some limiting belief about how they can't do it, so they think you can't do it. Sometimes that happens too. And also, if it is someone you care about, if it's a teacher, a mentor, a loved one, someone that you really trust their advice and they've been helpful in the past, sometimes there might be a grain of truth in their comment. And sometimes this is hurtful to acknowledge, but sometimes there's a grain of truth in their comment. And you have to be able to separate some kind of criticism or critique they gave you from who you are as a person. So one time, as you guys know, I write poetry. I've got 3 poetry books out. I have a third one too. I don't know where it is, and another ebook. And it's like my passion. I've been doing it since I was a teenager. And I had my editor, and I handed him a stack of my poetry, and I said, "Here, can you take a look at this? Can you see how I can do better? How can I, And he took a few minutes, or I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and he hands me back the stack of poems. And he said, "You need to start over." I go, "Oh," he goes, this is not good." Or I don't even remember his exact words. I was like, "Oh, which poem?" And he said, "All of them." I was like, I was shocked. I was devastated. I had worked so hard on these poems, and I was like, "I'm going to maybe put these in a book." And he was like, "All of them. They're all terrible." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm crying. I'm upset." And I'm thinking about throwing in the towel. I'm like, maybe I'm not cut out to be a poet. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. What was I thinking? And then all the negative things are going in my head about, oh, he's right. And I had to be thinking about it later. And I was like, well, maybe he's right. But I was thinking about quitting, throwing in the towel. And instead of calling myself a bad poet who didn't know what they were doing, I had to go, okay, now why would he be saying that? And then I started to remember different critique and feedback he'd given me in the past. Okay, you've got to be more clever with your words. You have to use more word pictures. Don't use such common words. Don't use, try to be more succinct. And I started remembering all the different things he's helped me with along the way. And I realized, oh, I was just being kind of lazy and general and not really painting a picture like you do in poetry. And then after a few days, I realized, you know what? I can do better. And then I redid them, and I rewrote every single one. And then I showed them to him again, and they were better. And I felt like they were better, even beyond him. So sometimes someone's going to give you some feedback, and it's going to feel like it's a little dig or it's a little jab at first. But the key thing for you to do is be able to separate who you are and your value and your worth and your skills from someone giving you feedback, even if it stings when you first hear it, because it could be helping you get better. And in the end, wouldn't you rather have someone say, "This stinks, do better," than to just say, "Oh, it's great," and you put it out, and years later when you know more and you're better at it, you go, "Oh my God, I could do so much better." And no one told you, and you feel like, oh man, that's how I was with my first poetry book. I put this book out in 2008. It was my first book. And then when I started studying with this coach, my editor, whom I'm just talking about, he helped me improve so much that I actually was like kind of embarrassed about this book. So in 2020, during COVID, when everything was shut down, I rewrote it. So it says the second edition. I rewrote all 77 poems, every single poem in the book. Now, because I had a new head. He taught me about meter. He taught me about scansion. So we can always improve. Don't let it mean something negative about you. Let it be a way that you realize you can sharpen your skills. Okay, Somebody in my private Facebook group is asking, how do we overcome the mindset of feeling like a failure when we do our best at work and a manager still says it can be better? I think some of my last question probably answered this. It could perhaps be that it could be better, but if you did your best, that means there's something lacking between what they think is better and what you've done. So that, don't feel bad about that or feel like a failure. Okay? Failure means you could never be a failure. You could never be a failure because God made you on purpose for a purpose, and there's nothing about you that is a failure. Okay. Failing just means that we tried something that didn't work. So you tried something, you did your best, and they say that could be better. What I would do in that situation is I would go to them with all humility, not in defensive in any way. I would go to them and say, hey, I could really use some feedback right now and to get some understanding. I did this project and I felt like I gave it my all and I did the best that I knew how to do at the time. Would you mind just taking a couple minutes to let me know? You said I could do better, but could you tell me how? Like, what is it specifically that could be better? And hopefully they'll be able to articulate it, because sometimes we think, oh my God, I'm a total failure. This whole thing is ruined. Because sometimes people don't really know how to communicate what they want. It could be as simple as you chose this font that was awful, or the color scheme, and that could be an easy fix. You could go in and fix the font and change the color, and it could be fine. But you may be thinking the entire presentation or the entire project is trash because they didn't articulate how it could be better, or you didn't ask the right questions to pull out of them the feedback you need to improve. This happens to actors all the time. Sometimes there's directors or casting directors who don't actually know how to speak to the actors. So they'll be like, cut. Okay, let's do that again. And they're like, just do better. And you're like, okay, what does that mean? So we have to find out, what does that mean? Or they'll be just like, be funnier. And you're like, be funnier? Like what? So the people giving you feedback also, because sometimes they don't know how to be specific, you have to ask them specifically. What was it about the performance you didn't like? Did you want me to pick up the pace? Would that be funnier? Did you want me to use more actions and not be as stagnant? Did you want me to do it in a way where I have this certain intention behind it, where, like, I remember one audition, it was for a horror film, and I was auditioning, and the person gave me feedback and they said, do it. And I'm doing a scene with a serial killer who's about to murder me. And they said, do the lines as if you're completely in love with the serial killer. That took me some time to like, whoa, okay, how can I rack my brain around? I was performing this with so much fear of the situation, and now they want me to perform it as if I'm in love with him. Sometimes the feedback can be so wackadoodle, and you have to take a moment to figure out how to do that. So get the feedback, try to get as specific feedback as you can. And if they say something like, you need to have these numbers in a certain way, or the analytics, or this or that, and if it's something you don't know how to do, don't feel bad or feel shame. Don't go back and panic and be like, oh, I don't know how to do that. You got to ask them, like, how do you, like, ask something like, do you have any advice of any videos I could watch to learn that? Or is there anybody in this department or another department who specializes in that I could gain some understanding from? And try to partner with them. And, you let them know, you thank them. Thank you for letting me know this could be better. I want to do the best I can for this company. I want to see you guys succeed. And I want my work to be the best it can be. And if there's some areas I'm lacking and you show me this and it's not a skill set I currently have, I am so willing to learn it. Is there someone in the company that could mentor me or show me the ropes on this? Or is there some training videos you could lead me to? They're going to love you. Don't feel bad about having to approach them and ask. They're going to love you. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, they're not just fighting me back or being defensive about their work. They're wanting to improve, and you're going to get some good results from that. Okay. Aesthetic. Leanna is asking, do you still work for Darman? Yes, I shot 4 days this week. Absolutely. Amber was asking a similar question. I'm probably going to see Darman today. We are going to Gardenia, and we're doing a toy drive for underprivileged families who don't have enough money for toys. So me and I think Dar and Big Boy from the radio station 92.3 is going to be there, and a bunch of us Darman actors, and we're going to be handing out gifts. Dar has posted about this on his Instagram story, so take a look there if you want more information. Okay, Michael, the movie guy, is asking, if I have any fights with a friend, what can I do to fix it? Our tendency is to want to defend ourselves and think about all the things of how they were wrong in this scenario. But the best thing you can do after you pray about it is start asking yourself, what was my role in this fight? What was my part in this? And ask God, how can I see things from their point of view? How can I see things from their perspective? What is it that I could have done that contributed to this fight? When you're able to do that and not just think every other person is wrong and you've got it all right, it's like that old saying, it takes two to tango. We all play a part. I'm making up with someone today, someone that I got in a fight with months ago. We had this complete disagreement about stuff, and she accused me of a bunch of things that weren't true, and she was like telling me some stuff I did that I was being kind and generous and giving to people. She was telling me how I shouldn't have done that and how come I didn't help her in that way, and like a lot of like jealousy stuff that I was done. I was like, forget about it. I don't need this kind of person in my life, And I was just quick to like, I just don't need that. I'm elevating. I'm going to higher levels. I want to be around people who support me and who care and who, and I do have a few people like that in my life who do. So I was just like, I'm donezo. And then the last couple months, God has been working on me. Like, think about it from her perspective. Think about how in the position she's in, how she could have come to certain conclusions, even if they're wrong. From her point of view, it seemed like the correct thing to say, even though she didn't know all the details. She was just making assumptions. So I sat there and I prayed about it, and I tried to see, I'm like, okay, from her point of view and what she's been through and what she's seeing from the outside and me looking in, it may look like what she said is true, even though I know it's not. And so I felt like God was telling me to get together with her and apologize. Not necessarily apologize because I did something wrong, but like apologize from the point of view of, I'm sorry I didn't see your perspective. I'm sorry that you felt that this was the thing. This actually isn't the thing. And I can see how from your perspective you would have felt this way. And I'm sorry you felt that way. That wasn't what happened. That wasn't my intention. I wasn't trying to hurt you or cast you aside or whatever the thing was. I'm trying to say the thing without saying the thing. But the point is to see from other people's point of view. So what was your role in the fight? I saw a couple of friends get in a fight recently. And one friend made some kind of comment to the other friend, and the other friend got so upset and so hurt by it. And I realized it was because the friend that got hurt by what this other comment said, she hadn't dealt with something within her. So the comment totally upset her, totally threw her off. But the friend that made the comment didn't know that she had issues in that area. Because sometimes friends, when you know them for a long time, you can have like silly little, like, it's like little jabs. It's like fun little things. Like, oh yeah, well your butt's too big, or whatever the comment is. But if someone has self-worth issues, if someone has body dysmorphia, if they already think they're big and hideous and huge, that can totally send them in a spiral because they haven't dealt with the thing. Okay? So figure out what your thing is in the fight. Figure out, did you say something that really set them off, and you maybe you knew, maybe you didn't know, maybe you shouldn't have said it, and you can go to them and you can say, you know what? I'm sorry I said that thing. I'm sorry I did that thing. I did not realize that was going to hurt you so much. And take responsibility for your part in the fight. I'm not saying it's all your fault, because nothing really ever is all somebody's fault. But take your responsibility and let them come to them with humility and see how you can repair the damage. Okay, so many questions. Oh my gosh, wow. Okay. Several people saying hello in the Facebook group. Let's see. Nicola, thank you so much for the gift. I appreciate you. She says we did incredible with the live with Allison. Aw. Yes. Okay. That's wonderful. Okay, what else do we have here? Let's see. Somebody. Good morning, Deanna. I know there's so many messages it's questions I haven't seen yet. Okay. Mona's listening in today. Let's see the next question. Angela, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you for being so generous. All you guys who've sent in money and super stickers to help support this ministry of mine that I do. I do consider it a ministry, the teaching and the coaching and all of that. Okay. All right. Let me see. Okay, the next question is, okay, this is from JG Ramy. I hate the way I live. My family's always arguing, and in school, I'm getting made fun of. And we barely have money. We can't even afford to have breakfast. And in school, I barely eat. Oof, that's a tough one. I feel like I would need to know more details. This sounds like it would be a whole kind of phone call situation. But what have you done? Let me ask you, what have you done to try to problem solve the situation? A lot of times there's arguing in the house because of money situations, because of financial stress. I don't know how old you are. I don't know if you're able to get a part-time job to help the family out. I don't like know any details to be able to answer this. So this is a very delicate situation. Do you have a program at school where because I know a lot of schools have programs where kids who don't have money, there's like lunch programs where they can eat for free or at a discount. I would start, if I were you, instead of like asking yourself questions like, why is this happening to me? Why am I arguing? Why are people making me? I would start asking yourself proactive questions that are based on solutions. Like, how can I help my parents not argue so much? What can I do at school to avoid the bullying? So just start asking yourself questions that are in the positive, not like, why is this thing happen to me? How come this bad stuff? Ask yourself positive questions, because our brain is brilliant at coming up with solutions when the right questions are asked. What can I do to make money? What kind of food can I buy that's low in cost? Because like when you go to the store, meat and cheese is extremely expensive, but beans and rice is so cheap. Like you can get a 10-pound bag of rice for $20, and that could last you for a month. Whatever it is, see how you can find the solutions, and come to your parents with certain solutions, like, hey mom, I noticed we've been buying whatever, and it's, ask your mom permission, like, I want to help the family out, and maybe you're not old enough to work or whatever. Start coming up with, like, how can I mow somebody's lawn? How can I contribute? Instead of feeling like you're at the mercy or a victim to all these things happening around you. And of course, prayer. Prayer is number one. Ask God for help. Ask Him for solutions. Ask Him for what to do. When you pray, stuff happens, stuff shifts. It may not happen in the time frame you want it to, but it does happen. Okay? All right. Yeah, moving, trying to find the next question. Okay. Mona says, constructive criticism is highly respected when it comes from someone who's honestly valued. Yes. Okay. Let me see. Lukey says, I'm 13 and I can't make money online because of the law. They won't let me. How do I start my career early? Do you have someone in your family that you trust that is 18 or whatever the law says for making money online? The crazy thing is, I've seen young people make money online on their YouTube channels and this and that. Maybe they've had to partner with their parent or their brother or sister or somebody in the household. Start brainstorming. Who could you maybe partner with? Who do you trust? And then, have like a little, I don't want to say contract, because that's like a big thing, but have some kind of agreement in place where you say, hey, I want to do this thing. This is how I want to make money. This is what I'm looking at doing. Would you just be the 18-year-old person, the adult, and I'll give you 30% of the money and I'll just keep 70? Can we do some kind of agreement? Do some brainstorming of who in your family, talk to your family first. Obviously, you don't want to do anything against your parents. Maybe they're concerned for you. Maybe they're concerned for your safety or your anonymity online or your identity. They don't want, because you're a minor, they don't want something to happen to you. They don't want you to put information out that might damage you or hurt you or make you a target for creepy people who like to do stuff to kids. I don't know I don't know your whole scenario just from this question, but I would talk to your parents, your counselor at school, somebody that you trust that can steer you in the right direction, and maybe Google and research, how are other kids making money online? What are they doing? And just proactively look for solutions to that. Don't feel like your hands are tied. Okay. So if I kind of scroll down, so I'm scrolling back up to hit some of the other questions I missed. If I haven't answered yours, you could type it back in again. Let's see. Okay. Okay, we answered that. Okay, Mama Bama is saying, my girlfriend cheated on me. I had a physical relationship with her, and now I feel so hurt. The person who I loved cheated on me and took advantage. Not a day goes by that I don't feel bad. I'm really sorry that happened to you. It's unfortunate that bad stuff happens to good people. Don't always blame yourself and feel bad or feel like it's your fault. I don't know what's going on with that person that cheated, but bad things happen to good people. And the Bible tells us the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. That means we all get slammed. We all get rained on. We all get wet and we don't have an umbrella. Stuff happens. But you know what? The Bible also says, in this world we will face tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. So even when we're going through the hardest time of our life, Scripture is telling us, be of good cheer. That sounds crazy, right? That sounds so crazy. Like, oh, I'm supposed to be cheerful that someone screwed me over? And it's not that you're cheerful that that happened to you. It's that you're cheerful that God is going to get you through it. God is going to get you through it in a way that you didn't know or didn't think was possible. He's going to mend your heart. He's going to help you realize, how to have better relationships in the future. Is there something you did to contribute to this happening? Who knows? But don't blame yourself, but instead take note. Take note, like evaluate. If it's happened a while ago, can you see through a different lens or a different perspective? Can you, if you don't have someone to talk to about this, can you pull yourself outside of the situation and say, okay, from the outside looking in, can I look at this situation through an unbiased perspective? It becomes a real skill set, a real skill to be able to separate yourself from the emotions. If you're stuck in the emotions, you're never going to see things clearly in a way that helps you see someone else's point of view or how you may have contributed in the matter. And sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes that's helpful in helping you heal. It never is fun to have someone do something terrible like that to you. But it happened and you can't go back and reverse it. So what's important is that you figure out, possibly, is it something within me that I'm attracting the wrong kind of people? Were there red flags that I didn't see? Am I so desperate to be loved that I am choosing people that aren't right for me? There's a lot of ways you could go about this. There's a lot of questions that could be asked. And just really, I want you to get introspective. And then, maybe make a list of things you could have done differently to make the relationship better. And if it's not, if you honestly pull your emotions away from it and you think like logically, if it's not you, then make a list of like what you could look for better in the next person you decide to date. What is it that, maybe you need to ask them more questions. Maybe you need to, and a big tip, this day and age is so fast to move. Let's not get physical with someone so quickly. There become such strong soul ties that are tied into that. Soul ties where it's like they get into your soul, and then when they leave, they rip parts of you away. So if you think of it like two pieces of wood, let's say this is wood, two pieces of wood, and you put glue on them. Every time you have a physical relationship with someone and have sex with someone, you're gluing yourself to that person. But when they leave you, you rip yourselves away. There's some of their glue, there's some of their remnants left on you. And you're ripped apart. And every time you get together with someone and they leave, you're ripped apart. Their stuff is getting on you. So, the first thing I would do is ask God to forgive you. Ask God to heal your heart. How can you heal from? You have to get rid of those soul ties. So you need to pray, you need to repent, you need to say, God, heal me of this. How can I get rid of, because they leave stuff on you. Every relationship you have, there's spirits. This world isn't just physical. This is a spiritual world, and there's demons, and there's transferring and migrating spirits that can get on you. Their junk can get on you even when you've pulled away from them because you've allowed them in. It's almost like those vampire movies where the vampire can't come in your house until you invite them in. There's things we've invited into our life innocently, not knowing these people were energy vampires or they had ill intentions or bad things. Because if you're a good person and you're coming from a good place and you're very trusting, we can let people in that are not good for us. And then we have to heal from the damage that they caused. And that's not always easy. And that's not always ABC straightforward. Sometimes it's a process to heal and get over what happened. So don't be so quick to let people in. The truth is, You don't really know someone till about 6 months into the relationship. People can put out a good front, say all the right words, and entice you in so quickly. Just say everything. Like if you're hungry for affection, you're starving, like you are trying to fill up this empty hole in you. Oh, people can flatter you and sweet talk you. Honey, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. There's a friend of mine was in this dating world, dating sites. She would get lured in by all the wonderful things these people would say, and she'd go on dates with them, have this relationship, be so attached to them. Come to find out later, they were actually married, and they just wanted a side piece. So we have to guard our hearts, right? The Bible says, guard your hearts, because out of it springs the issues of life. All the issues that we're dealing with in life, a lot of times is because we haven't guarded our heart. So what can you do today to guard your heart? And you know what else is a good thing? When you meet someone and you want to start dating them, go on a group date. Go on a group date and you tell your friends in advance, I really like this person. Can you check them out? Take a look at them. See if you can see things that I don't see, that I am missing. Because sometimes, there's a saying, love is blind. Is there something they're doing that I don't see, that I should see? And when you do that, your friends are going to be like, oh, honey, he is not the one for you. She is not the one for you. And they're going to see stuff. They're going to see stuff. And you're going to be like, no, no, no. And you come to find out later, they were absolutely right. If you trust your friends and they're not just trying to sabotage you or they're jealous of your relationship, you will find out so many things that you never knew, because you can't see them, because you're so infatuated with them or so in love of the idea of being in a relationship, and they can portray themselves, right? The Bible says even the devil tries to portray himself as an angel of light. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing, and many people in this world are wolves in sheep's clothing. So you got to protect yourself. You can't be so quick to jump into relationships. Okay. All right, let me see. Next question, and type your question. If I missed your question, type it in again. We have a few minutes left, and I'm sure I can answer a couple more questions. Okay. JG Rami is saying, sometimes I feel like my family, including my cousins and grandparents, don't care about me. They give the attention to other people and make me feel excluded from the family. Okay. There's been times in my life where I have felt like people didn't care about me. And sometimes it's because of things they did or how I interpreted the things that they did. And sometimes it was because it felt like it was amplified because I didn't love and care about myself. I didn't think I fit in. I felt like I didn't belong. So you're going to really probably need to do some soul searching on, is this because I'm feeling some sort of way about myself, that's the lenses that I see through? I see through these lenses of not being enough and not fitting in. So when things happen, it's almost like the reticular activator in your brain, in your stem cell of your brain, or I don't even know what it's called, is making you look for and see these things you are looking for. When it's like when you want this certain pair of shoes, suddenly you see everybody has this pair of shoes that you want and you don't have them. Or when you buy a certain car, you go out and you see that car everywhere. Sometimes when we have told ourselves a story that I'm not loved and people don't care about me, and we have these low self-worth values, for whatever reason, this is something I struggled with, which is why I wrote the book, You Are Worthy. We can see other people's actions through that lens of us not being enough. So it can look like they don't care about me or give the attention to me. But sometimes, I know from my past, I have pulled away from people And because I have pulled away, they don't know what to do. So they, like, sometimes they don't reach out, or they want to give you space because they're thinking, I don't know what I did wrong. This person pulled away from me. So I remember once early on complaining to my friend Jennifer at church that I didn't have any friends. I felt like I really didn't have any friends. But I was kind of like pushing people away because I didn't like myself. I had no self-love. And so I was pushing people away. And so she gently, it still hurt when she said it, but she gently reminded me that scripture says, in order to have friends, you must first be friendly. So I do want you to ask yourself, is there some kind of way that I have pulled away from my family, that I have felt like I'm lesser, so I'm not going all in, I'm not participating, I'm trying to guard myself? Is there something that I'm doing that is, making me standoffish a bit, and maybe they don't know how to respond? If that's not the case, and you totally feel like, no, I try, I do this, and they just still don't, then I would go to them humbly and say, you know what, Grandpa, you know what, cousins, I really value our relationship. I really care about you. And I don't know if it's just me, if this is just in my head or my imagination, but sometimes I feel like you guys don't like pay attention to me or give me, you know, the love I need, or I feel excluded and left out. Is this something that I'm imagining? Is there something I could do is there something I've done that's made you want to pull away from me? Or is there something I can do to be in a closer relationship with you because I crave that and I care about it? And if they're not totally dysfunctional and have their own millions of issues, they could say, what it is that you can do to be part of the family or not feel excluded. But there are cases where maybe a family is completely and totally dysfunctional and they don't even know how to have a real relationship. They have so many issues of their own that they don't even know how to have a proper relationship with you. And if that's the case, don't be hard on yourself. Don't take that burden on yourself. Just know that 99% of the time, people are doing the best that they know how to do. And if they're not living up to what's proper, what's right, what's loving, what's caring, their standards, they don't really know how to do any better, because nobody sets out, even the worst person in the world sets out to be like, ooh, I'm going to destroy someone's life today. I'm going to smash them to the ground and make them wish they were never born. Like, people are trying to do their best. So we have to give them grace, even if we're feeling hurt, even if we're feeling left out. We have to give them grace and realize, you know what? They might be going through something. And that happened to me this week. I told you I had that conversation a couple weeks ago when this person was ignoring me and not responding to any of my texts, and we had this business deal going. I was really upset, and I was panicked, and I was like, because I didn't know what to do and how do we move forward, and I've invested all this money, and now what? And it just hit me like, whoa, they must be going through something. And then I just became vigilant at praying for them, like, God help them, God help them. And when I became vigilant about praying for them, they started reaching out. So prayer works. Guys, I know I didn't get to all your questions today, but our hour is up. I hope you found this helpful. If you want me to do something like this more often, if you think once a quarter or once a month would be helpful, that I can answer your specific questions, I want at least 10 people to tell me in the chat, yes, do ask me anything Q&A more often. And I will take that into consideration and not just teach all the time. And I'll do this more often too. So have at least 10 of you in the chat tell me that this would be helpful for you, and we will do that again. Oh my gosh, I so did not get to all your questions. Oh wow. Okay, I'm going to answer one more. I'm going to answer one more because there's so many. A Facebook user says, is it okay to celebrate Christmas while other family members are suffering? I think you can find a balance in that. I think you can, because it's not about whooping it up and I'm having a good old party time and they're suffering. Christmas is really about being thankful for Jesus's birth. And I think even if you're suffering, you can be thankful for Jesus's birth and see what it is you can do to help the suffering person. Maybe I have somebody in my life who's a relative of mine that just went through the most horrendous tragedy I could ever imagine. I don't even want to say what it is. I invited her for Christmas. She wants to stay home, which is totally fine. I would try to reach out to them, see how you can help. Can you bring them over Christmas dinner? Can you be with them the day before or the day after? Can you see how you can help? Could you let them know you are thinking about them? What can you do to maybe ease their suffering, take some of the burden off, do all the cooking, bring it? Do they need something? What can you do to help them through their suffering? Scripture does tell us mourn when people mourn and celebrate when people celebrate. So there may be a lot of members of your family that want to celebrate Christmas. And I think there's a way you can do it and yet be mindful of the people that are suffering. So you can reach out to me if you need more ideas. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for being here. Have a blessed and Merry Christmas. I will see you next week, same time, same place. Love you all. Take care.